There are many computer games out there, but very few of them actually allow you to make your own movie. Now, you may have seen some of the amazing movies made with the game Stunt Island. My name is Doug from Stunt Island Central, and today I'm going to show you how to quickly and easily make your own movie in Stunt Island. Now, I played a lot of games back in the 90s, but the only one I really kept coming back to was Stunt Island. And the reason is that it was so accessible, but also so powerful. And it contains two parts that really make it unique and allow you to make movies. And those are the set designer and the film editor. And I'll show you how to use each of those today. Okay, now when we get into the program, we do not want to be in the competition, but we do want to do our own editing. And the first place you can go right here is the set designer. And before we start actually making the movie and designing the set, I just want to show you a quick overview of the set designer. Okay, so right here you have a view of the island, and this is where it shows the 3D world that you'll be composing. And you can zoom in and out by dragging the scroll bar here, and you can left click and drag around to see the island. And once you get in close to a place and you're zoomed in, you can use both mouse buttons to click and pan around. And so by doing so, you can get to any place in the island really quickly. So it's a really neat way to just move around and find a place to make your movie. Okay, on the right side here on the top, it shows the object that you're currently working with. There are a total of 40 objects that you can have. Object 1 is always a flyable object, which is why sometimes you'll see movies with flying cows and flying buses, things like that. Any object that you put in slot 1 is going to be flyable. Slots 2 through 8 are reserved for cameras. So these are the cameras that you use to record the action, and the rest are just regular props. And once you have a prop in there, you can go to the Adjust button, and this allows you to adjust different things about the item. And at this point, I just want to allow you to appreciate how much this game does with a small amount of real estate. So this is a 320 by 200 VGA mode, and just incredible, really, the amount of text and buttons and everything that are on the page. So it's a really well designed and powerful game. Okay, back to the main screen. If you go to global, this is where you change things like the time of day, gear and flaps position, and events. This is where you can actually program and set up what is going to happen during your stunt. Okay, so that's a basic overview. And by the way, with any item or any number on the screen, you can left click to increase or decrease it. And if you right click, that will increase or decrease it by a lot. So let's just begin a new stunt and let's get going. I'm going to time myself to see how long it takes me to do a complete stunt and movie. So I'll be going over most things pretty quickly, but this should give you a pretty complete idea of how to actually set up the stunt and make the movie. Now, the first thing that we need to do is find a location for our little movie. And there's all kinds of great locations, but I like the city. It has some really neat picturesque areas. And so there's some nice bridges here. So my idea is let's have a plane that flies under the bridge. But the first thing we need to do is add an object in slot 1. I'm not going to have the plane actually be flyable, so I have to put something in slot 1 that will be a flyable object. It's just a requirement of the game. Everything else will be computer programmed. Okay, I'm going to go in and adjust this, make it invisible with no shadow. It's just going to be there. It's just a requirement. Okay, next we need to actually add the plane. So we'll go to slot 9, which is the first open object slot. Go to planes, and I want a Beechcraft Bonanza. So that's under V35 Bonanza. And we'll place it right here in the middle of the river. So I go to place, and I can kind of see where it's oriented here. And if I click and drag in this area in the top right, I can change the orientation. Okay, and we'll go ahead and go into adjust to further fine tune it. We'll give it a shadow. We'll give it an altitude of about 30 feet. And we'll change the object type up here from free to face. Now this means it will actually always go in the direction it's facing, which should be true more or less of an airplane. Also, I need to make it collidable, and I'll show you why here in just a second. Okay, let me go back into that and give it a speed of 120 miles an hour. Looks good. Now what we want to do is when the plane reaches this bridge, we want to have it start a loop. And so to do this, we need to add something else, a production tool. This is called a collision window. We'll get one that's about 250 feet by 125, and we'll go ahead and place it right here and adjust its yaw so it's more or less aligned with the river. All right, looks good. And make it collidable but not visible. We just want it to be there but not actually be able to see it. Okay, so in order to make the plane do something when it hits that, we need to go into events and say if collision between object number 9, which is our Bonanza, and 10, which is our collision window, then we want to do something. And what we want to do is change the pitch animation. And pitch animation means that that the plane is going to change its pitch by a certain amount per second. And in this case, we'll change it to 30 degrees per second. So change Bonanza's pitch animation to 30. And this means that after 1 second, it will have a pitch of 30. After 3 seconds, it'll have a pitch of 90, and so on all the way around. It will be a nice smooth loop. And after 12 seconds, we'll have completed the 360 degrees. So we can wait 12 seconds and then change its pitch animation to 0, and it will just keep flying like normal. All right. Pitch animation to 0. Okay, it looks good. Now we need something to capture the action. So let's go back to slot 3, which is our first open camera slot, and add a camera object. I can press the C key to go to camera, and slot number 3 through 8 don't actually have to be camera objects, but just for clarity, it helps to have that. So we'll stick a camera right here below the bridge, and we'll change it to watch object number 9, which is the plane. Camera does not need to be visible. We'll give it a little altitude. Looks good, and it will watch the plane as it comes through. Okay, at this point, we can save it and go ahead and fly the stunt and see if it works. Okay, go to Action, and we'll press Control F3 to view our camera, and we'll see if this actually works. Okay, the plane hits the collision window, and sure enough, it starts its loop, and it's going to go through the full 360 degrees, and hopefully at the bottom it will pull out of that loop. Okay, looks like it did. Now there's a few things we need to change here, so let's go back to Set Design. The gear is down on the plane. We don't really want the gear to be down. We'll change the gear to up. And also, the propeller was not moving. It was a little hard to see. Since our object in slot 1 controls the speed of the propeller, we need to give that some speed just so we have the propeller moving. And finally, let's just add a couple more cameras. So go back to camera. We'll place this one anywhere, and we'll change it to an attach object and attach it to object 9, which is our plane. Give it a little distance. This way it is going to follow the plane wherever it goes and give us a nice view of the loop that way. Change it to invisible. Okay, looks good there. And let's add one more camera. And let's stick this one on the far side of the bridge here and adjust it. We'll give it a little altitude, and we'll change its yaw so it faces more or less this way. And go into the watch here and change the zoom to a nice zoom level. So that way when the plane comes through under the bridge here, we can see it here. Make it invisible. You can also click and drag on the camera to change exactly which direction it's pointing. So I think this ought to be good. It probably won't capture the full loop, but that's okay. Okay, let's go ahead and fly the stunt. Save the set.
Quiet on.
All right, go to camera 3. There's our camera 4. Got the propeller going, and camera 5 is going to catch the plane as it comes through. Let's just watch it from this camera. All right, looks nice, and nice view from there as well, and from camera 1. So we got a nice view of the full thing happening here. All right, that looks good. That's a pretty basic stunt, but I think it should work. So I'll hit escape and go to That's a Wrap. Yes, I want to print the last take. Hit OK, and now we're into the film editor. Okay, and this gives us all the cameras and the different views that we can watch it from. So what we want to do is we can move forward and backwards and fast forward using these controls. So what we want to do is find our first shot that we want to have, and maybe let's just go with this one to start with. So we go to the place that we want to start recording from, hit mark on the start, move forward to where we want to mark there, and hit record. And that will record it over to our destination deck. Okay, now at this point, we want to maybe see it from a different point of view. So let's go to here, we'll hit mark. And mark here, and again record. Then let's try a different view. This one looks good. Mark, mark, record. You're probably noticing a pattern here. And let's go back to this view. And we'll see as it comes all the way through the loop. That looks good. Record that. And then maybe from this view. Okay, so it's a pretty simple film, but that's what we have. And at this point, maybe we can just go back to, no, I think that's enough. For demonstration purposes, we have an 18-second video here, so we can go to the start here and play through and see how it actually looks. Okay, it looks nice. And most movies are made up of many sets. My film Pit Jet was made up of, I forget how many, dozens if not hundreds of sets. And so it's just a process of setting up a set, of recording it, and making your film. And then you set up another set, add the footage from that to your film, and so on. And now we can add some music if we want. So mark where we want to start the music, go to FX Audio, FX Audio, and we can go to Music, 1 or 2. And sure, we'll go with one of the generics. Looks good. Hit OK. And when we play it now, the music plays. All right, one more thing we can do. Let's add in a simple fade in, fade out. So mark your start and end, go to FX Fade. Start is going to be completely black, end is 100%, and let's go to the end and do the same thing. Start, end. I'm going to fade from 100% brightness to 0%. Okay, finally we go to print, and we can print and watch our movie. Okay, very nice. That's how you do it. That's how you make a simple film. Obviously, you can get a lot more involved than that, but that's the basic process. So if you have been watching Stunt Island films and you said, how do people actually do this? That's how you do it. Hope you can go and start using Stunt Island if you never have before, or maybe you can get back into it if you used to make films back in the day. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little video about how to make Stunt Island movies, and make sure to check out the incredible films that I have on my channel.